Let's talk about the big three and why I love all three and why it's still possible to love all three. I didn't think I would have to make a video on this, but I just wanted to touch on this because I've mentioned this before and I'm going to mention it again. The beef in 2024, obviously they've been beefing for years, a decade of subliminal shots, over a decade now. But since 2024, people have really drawn a line to say, you have to pick a side, you have to pick a side. And now all of a sudden loving all three is like a crime, or it's like taboo within the space. But why I love all three and why I can still listen to all three, because they all offer me different things, which it's so funny to me because when we compare, especially Drake and Kendrick, right? Because those are the two main, antagonists, protagonists in this story, because obviously they were the ones that went head to head, really. So comparing them is actually so funny because I understand why we compare them, obviously, but they could not be more different than what they are. They are so different, it's actually crazy. So comparing, it's actually useless. Because ever since Drake dropped Iceman, and it's going to be a common theme now whenever each one of them drops, where now they're going to compare, no, Kendrick clears, Drake clears, which is so annoying. The worst person is going to be comparing these two when either one of them drops. You can still love all three. What is that quote by Rio Ferdinand when he was talking about Lionel Messi and Ronaldo? Which in football I think is different, but even then, just enjoy them. Just enjoy them. Because for me, right, I've been a fan of all three for quite a while now. And it's funny because I love J. Cole the most out of them. I love all three, but I love J. Cole the most. But I found out about J. Cole, or at least I was a bigger fan of J. Cole a lot later than I was Kendrick and Drake. Because I found out about Drake after he dropped Over with Thank Me Later. So that was 2010. And I found out about Kendrick after Section 80, specifically with the song Ronald Reagan Era. And I've been a fan ever since. I only found out about J. Cole after he dropped Born Sinner with the song She Knows, which there's a whole backstory there where my childhood friend at the time, he actually recommended that I listen to She Knows, which is such a funny story in itself because, long story short, I got rejected by a crush and he was like, dude, I recommend you that you listen to this song by this rapper J. Cole, which is so funny because that song has nothing to do with, you getting rejected by a girl, but that's a whole other story. But She Knows was my first exposure to J. Cole. But I only became a super fan after 2014 Forest Hill Drive, which I do touch on this when I shot a video on when I bought the vinyl, right? So I've been a fan of Cole and Drake way before than I was a fan of J. Cole, which is so funny because I love J. Cole more than I love Drake and Kendrick. But I love all of them a lot. They are all three of my top five favorite rappers of all time. But the reason why I can still love all three, besides the whole beef thing, but they all offer me different things. Kendrick, for me, is a master storyteller, which you could probably say the same thing about the others. But I think Kendrick, when it comes to storytelling and just the curation, and I've mentioned this before as well, where the process of album building and the process of curating an album, he's second to none when we discuss all three, right? And I hate to have the discussion of who has the better discography because I think Kendrick is just a step above the other two. Whereas with Drake puts you in a certain mood, man. He puts you in a certain feel that Cole or Kendrick can't offer me. Him and his braggadocious bars. You could say that, why is a almost 40-year-old man still rapping about how toxic he is towards women? Which that content may get dated for me eventually. I'm turning 28 right this year. And not to say that I relate to that content of him rapping about women in that perspective, because I don't. I'm not the type of person, but when we really filter out that, which I can still I can still listen to that as much as I don't relate to the content itself, but I can still listen to Drake because he just puts you in a certain mood. And just with Drake, right? He's an amazing lyricist, by the way. I think his lyricism gets severely underrated, even by me at times, but his lyricism gets severely underrated. But I think with Drake, it's a lot less than what he says, but how he says it. He has a certain swagger about him that I don't think it's ever been matched. And just the sound of him, for me, it's just, he's an artist amongst artists. He's really an artist, and how he can blend in certain sounds, whether he gives you R&B, whether he gives you straight raps. He is a real chameleon in that sense. Whereas with Cole, and the reason why I love Cole more than Drake and Kendrick, it's a sense of relatability with Cole. I relate to a lot with Cole, a lot. There's certain elements with Cole, right? With a song like Once an Addict, with a song like a lot of his songs early in his career, I relate. He literally, at times, it feels like Cole is writing about my life. literally so many of his experiences, his life experiences, or whether he's rapping in his perspective, or whether he's just rapping for the sake of rapping, a lot about what he raps about, I relate to it so much. So that's the reason why I love Cole more than the other two. Like, I love them all three, but him, it's a sense of relatability. So what I'm trying to get to here, without yapping too much, which I've already yapped for 5 minutes straight now, but what I'm trying to get to, they offer me all different things. If I'm trying to listen to a masterpiece of an album, hence why Kendrick would rarely make my Wrapped top 5. Because it's rare that I listen to Kendrick how I listen to Drake and Cole. Because Cole and Drake are very good playlist rappers. Not to say that their albums are bad. No, they have amazing, phenomenal albums, and I think all three of them have classic albums. But if we're having an album discussion, I think Kendrick is just a step above the other two. So in that sense, whenever I listen to one Kendrick song, you'd find that I'm listening to the whole album. Whether it's Good Kid, whether it's T-Pap, whether it's Damn. You know, he himself has very good playlist songs as well, don't get me wrong. But with the other two, it's just second to none. They have way more hits than what Kendrick has. You know, hits in the traditional sense, especially when we talk about Drake. Like, hit songs that you can play on the aux. You know, I won't play Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst on the aux, especially if I'm around people. If I'm with myself, obviously. But the whole aux thing is that you can cater to many people. You won't hear Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst in the club. But with Drake and Cole, there's a lot more club songs compared to Kendrick. So you see, they offer me many different things. So hence why I can still love all three effortlessly. If I'm trying to listen to a masterpiece of an album, I'm going to listen to a Good Kid, a T-Pap. If I'm trying to, get that sense of relatability, I'm going to listen to Cole. If I'm trying to just get that swag up, Drake, I can compare him to like a Kanye West or a Jay-Z, especially Kanye. Kanye will put you in a certain mood with his music, man. The way he brags, the way even Jay-Z, Drake is in that ilk. He's in that ilk. So they all offer me different things, man. Hence why I can love all three, comfortably so. And whenever I'm having discussions about them, obviously when I talk about what's the best verse or what's the best album, I put aside bias and I look at something for what it is. And I know music is subjective and all that, but when we talk about the better albums, why I think Good Kid is better than a 2014 Forest Hill Drive or Nothing Was the Same, which this is where the music is subjective thing comes to, because I have a friend, right, a very close childhood friend of mine, and he's a massive Drake fan. He's way more of a bigger Drake fan than I am, but he's a fan of all three as well. But he is so convinced, and we once had a lengthy discussion as to why he thinks this, but he's so convinced that Nothing Was the Same is better than T-Pap. So when you hear something like that, obviously a lot more people would say, obviously Kendrick fans specifically, they would say, what? That's blasphemous. Whereas with some Drake fans, they'll actually agree with you. And he listed his reasons as to why he thinks Nothing Was the Same is better than something like a T-Pap. But he can respect the greatness of a Good Kid. He thinks Good Kid is his magnum opus as well, which I'm also in agreement with that. But the whole Nothing Was the Same better than T-Pap, I don't agree, but I hear his reasons, which is where we get to music is subjective. So, you can love all three. Just enjoy them. Stop being childish. People in the comments coming saying, oh, you K-Bot, or you Drake Glazer, or you Cole Glazer. I love all three, and I'll glaze all three when the time comes. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. I don't think I would have to make a video on this, especially an 8 minutes video, but yeah, man, I love all three, and I'll talk about all three, and I'll send love to all three whenever the time comes. Stop yes, we can have these comparisons. Yes, even I do my ranking videos, who has had the better run, wada. That's just for content purposes. But I'm not doing it to shoot the other one down, is what I'm trying to say. I personally just do it for content. This is all content for me. But I listen to all three, and I love them all three. But yeah.